if you look at Facebook, if you look at YouTube, if you look at all the social media giants and all the apps, nothing is being controlled by India. The data is not stored in India. They do not comply with Indian IT regulations. Should we have our own made in India app, like Zoho's messaging app has come up now? Do you think how can government support such apps and support such startups? And should we follow China's rule and outrightly ban every single app?
Right. So this is a very major issue, like you rightly say. All these platforms, whether it is Facebook, whether it is YouTube, whether it is Gmail, whether it is Twitter or X, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever you call it, all the means that we Indians use to communicate among ourselves, these are all owned by foreign powers. See, social media became a thing in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. Orkut became a thing. People don't even remember Orkut. Orkut was owned by Google. Orkut for the first time brought Indians together. Maybe for the first time in a millennium, in 1,000 years, Indians could communicate with each other in real time. And then you had Facebook coming up, then you had YouTube, you had Twitter and so on. And today Indians take it for granted that we can communicate in real time with anybody across the country. Even people we don't know. We can right now see a snapshot of what's happening in Assam, what's happening in Kerala, what's happening in other parts of India. This is something we take for granted. But this is also weaponized for spreading narratives, for creating misinformation and so much more. So this tool that is vital to us, it's controlled by foreign governments and they can weaponize it in any way. They can trend certain sentiments. Earlier used to have hashtag trending. Today we can trend other sentiments. You can. There are other nations that can create these bot farms. You must, in case you've not seen, there were videos that came out that various Pakistani groups and Chinese groups, they have these racks, like you have bookshelves, similarly they have racks filled with mobile phones, all connected to the internet, and each of these through AI is impersonating a Twitter account or something, and they are all mass producing narratives. And you will have seen that after 2022, after February 22, there's been this outpouring of negative sentiment towards India on social media. A lot of Indophobia, a lot of Hinduphobia, a lot of anti-India sentiment, disparaging India, portraying India so and so, so and so. All of that has suddenly surged after 2022. And right now we are at the peak of that. Much of this could potentially be done by actors or nations that are inimical to our interests, maybe Pakistan, maybe China, maybe even somewhere in the West, it could be happening. So this is a very major problem. And let's say in the future, the West decides to cut off access to India, then what do? We're suddenly rudderless, we can't communicate with each other. So it is critical, and I have been trying to highlight this for at least a decade, that India needs to have its own social media platforms, right? But is it enough to just have social media platforms? We had something called Coup in the past. Coup was an Indian version of Twitter, a substandard version of Twitter. I saw your expression there.
It didn't work well.
It didn't work. It was a terrible user experience. Terrible. It was painful to use Coup when you already are using Twitter. So we not only need to have our own social media apps, but those should be world class. We should not take shortcuts and the chalta hai attitude and produce substandard apps and then complain when Indians don't adopt it. Indians will adopt an app only if it is world class, where it provides a similar experience to existing apps, if not a better experience. Then Indians will adopt it. So Indian entrepreneurs need to take up this challenge, right? To create these apps. And the Indian government needs to clear the way for them to do this by creating a conducive business environment. Right? So that's what needs to happen. It's very important. It's critical. Our data is being harvested by the West, by whoever is controlling these platforms. Tremendous amounts. See, Indians are some of the biggest users on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, or wherever else. And our data freely accessible and harvested by the West, and then that creates, all kinds of social engineering scenarios because of that. So it's very important, it's vital, it's critical for India at some point in time, hopefully sooner rather than later, to create its own apps. Should we emulate the Chinese, like you asked, and create a walled garden, maybe a great firewall of India, like the Chinese have the great firewall of China? It's perhaps unfeasible because Indians travel across the world, and if we are ring-fenced, then we cannot communicate with people who are outside of India. It will be portrayed as undemocratic, and it will not, it will create an echo chamber within India. So ideally, we should have our own platforms. It is probably not feasible to create a great firewall and cut off India's access to the Western internet and create a ring-fenced version of an intranet kind of thing. Maybe it's not that feasible, maybe not that practical. There's too much penetration already and so on.